Over the course of Genshin's life, we've had several regions and a ton of limited 5-star characters. But which ones can bring your account to the next level? Well, here's a list of the top 5-star characters you must pull for in Genshin Impact. And number 4 might actually surprise you. What's great about these characters is that you will still get a ton of value from them even if you don't pull for their constellations or their signature weapons. So let's hop right in.
Kazuha is arguably the best animo support in the game.
He has an excellent grouping ability with his skill, he has pretty short cooldowns, and he has this amazing passive skill which boosts the elemental damage of the swirled element by 0.04% of his elemental mastery. Which might not seem like a lot, but simply put, if you had 800 elemental mastery, that would give you a 32% elemental damage bonus for that element he swirled. He's also excellent for exploring the overworld since he can use his skill while mid-air. For his artifact set, you'd want to use Viridescent Venerer.
The 2-piece gives a 15% animo bonus, and the 4-piece set provides a 60% increase in swirl damage, but more importantly, it also shreds the enemy's resistance to the element you swirled by 40%.
Now as for the substats, while attack, crit rate, and crit damage improves his personal damage, you only really need to get EM and ER so that you can always cast his burst on cooldown. He needs about 180 to 200% energy recharge to cast his burst every rotation. As for the main stats, just get Elemental Mastery for the Sands, Goblet, and Circlet. Although getting EM pieces might be a bit of a challenge, don't worry. It'll all pay off once you have all the pieces together. And what's great about the VV set is that you can always use the Strongbox to roll for other pieces as well. His best free-to-play weapon would be the Iron Sting. If you don't happen to have a billet, that's okay. You can also try getting the Dark Iron Sword for free from the Produce Merchant in Liyue. Next one is going to be Raiden Shogun. She's excellent at filling up bursts of her teammates by using her own burst. Once in her burst state, doing normal, charge, or plunging attacks will help regenerate energy for your team relative to her total energy recharge stat. Her passive also converts energy recharge into greater energy restoration and electro damage bonus, making energy recharge her top priority in terms of stats. She's an amazing burst DPS. You can increase her burst damage by casting her skill first and building resolve stacks. There are two ways to build resolve stacks. One is by using your teammates' bursts, and another is by picking up particles. Once your resolve stacks are full, that's when you can deal a tremendous amount of burst damage.
And with the introduction of Dendro, you can also play her as a Hyper Bloom trigger. All you have to do is simply use her skill, and it will allow you to effectively trigger the Hyper Bloom reaction, which also deals a ton of damage.
For her artifacts, as a burst DPS, use the Emblem of Severed Fate artifact set.
Not only is this tailor-made for her, it's also good for a lot of other characters as well. The 2-piece bonus provides 20% energy recharge, and the 4-piece set amplifies the damage of the burst by 25% of your energy recharge.
Focus on getting energy recharge, crit rate, and crit damage for the substats. As for the main stats, for the Sands, she needs about 260 to 280% energy recharge. So if you don't have that through the substats, then go for an energy recharge piece. Otherwise, just use an attack percent piece. For the Goblet, you can either get an attack percent or an electro damage bonus piece. And finally, for the Circlet, get crit rate or crit damage, and try to aim for a 1:2 ratio for crit rate and crit damage respectively. Her best free-to-play weapon is the Catch. You can get this from Inazuma by fishing. It might take a while, but you can always go to your friend's world and fish from there as well to make it faster. As a Hyper Bloom trigger, use the Gilded Dreams artifact set.
The 2-piece bonus provides 80 elemental mastery, and the 4-piece set provides even more elemental mastery for every element in your team, and can be triggered by doing an elemental reaction. All you have to do is focus on getting elemental mastery for the Sands, Goblet, and Circlet.
Plus as much EM substats you can get from the Flower and the Plume as well. For the weapon, if you happen to have the Dragon's Bane, go for this weapon, since this has the highest EM. But for a free-to-play option, you can always go for the Moon Piercer, which is the craftable weapon from Sumeru. For the Hyper Bloom build, you only really need to activate your skill and it will help trigger the Hyper Bloom reactions. Next one is going to be Nahida. She is a great Dendro support. By holding down her skill, you can mark up to 8 enemies, All linked enemies will take Tri-Karma Purification, which deals Dendro damage whenever you deal an elemental reaction or bloom related damage. Her burst provides specific buffs depending on your teammates you have with her. Hydro makes the burst last longer, Pyro increases damage, and Electro decreases the interval between her Tri-Karma Purification procs. On top of that, she also provides an EM bonus based on the character with the highest EM in the team. Aside from that, she can also help you out to pick flowers and fruits in the overworld by using her skill. For her artifact set, just use the Deepwood Memory set. The 2-piece provides a 15% Dendro damage bonus, and the 4-piece set provides a 30% Dendro resistant shred. Focus on getting crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and energy recharge. As for the main stats, you can go for EM for Sands, Bendo damage or EM for the Goblet, and crit rate or crit damage for the Circlet. Whichever one gets you the best 1:2 ratio. For her weapons, if you happen to have the sacrificial fragments, use that. Otherwise, you can craft the Mapamare or use either Emerald Orb or Magic Guide, which are both 3-star weapons. So it's actually pretty cool that we have so many weapon options for her. And you know another thing that's cool? Clicking that subscribe button. It definitely helps my channel out. So go on, give it a go. Alright, next one is going to be Yelan. The reason why she made this list is because she is very easy to build, as most of her kit scales off of HP. She is an amazing off-field DPS by using her burst. While she doesn't have the defensive or healing capabilities of Shinsho, she makes up in damage. Plus, if you ever wanted another Shinsho on your team, Yelan is your next best bet. As of this writing, she has the fastest movement speed in the overworld by using her skill, making her a great addition to your exploration team. For her artifacts, use the Emblem of Severed Fate. You need about 200% energy recharge to make sure she casts her burst every rotation. For the substats, aim for crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, HP percent. As for the main stats, depending on the weapon she is using, go for HP percent or ER percent. Then hydro damage for the Goblet, and crit rate or crit damage for the Circlet, aiming for that 1:2 ratio. For her weapon, if you have the Favonius Warbow, you can use that. Otherwise, a great alternative is the 3-star Recurve Bow, which provides a good amount of HP percent. Depending on the weapon you use, if you use the Favonius Warbow, go for an HP sense. If you use the Recurve Bow, go for an ER sense to make sure the energy requirements are still met. And finally, the last character in the list. I just want to preface this with the fact that a good amount of DPS characters required a shielder for both survivability and resistance to interruption, such as Xiao, the Wanderer, Ganyu, Yoimiya, and Hu Tao to name a few. Which brings us to our last character, Zhongli. Not only does he provide the strongest shield in the game, he also provides an elemental and physical resistance shred, further increasing his value in the team. Holding his skill allows him to put down a pillar, create a shield, and shred enemy resistances. His shield scales off his max HP, so building him as tanky as possible would be the best way to go. And now for his best artifact sets. As a shield bot, use Tenacity of the Millelith, as it provides a good amount of HP for the passive bonus on the 2-piece. Meanwhile, the 4-piece provides a 20% attack boost to party members, as well as a 30% shield strength bonus when casting his skill. As for the substats, anything to boost the crit rate and energy recharge would be pretty nice. Mostly HP would be the best on him. As for the main stats, just go for HP percent of the Sands, Goblet, and Circlet. For his weapon, you can either go with the Favonius Lance to help with energy regeneration to increase his supportive capabilities even further. You can also go with the Black Tassel to increase his shield strength even further. If you want to build him as a hybrid though, you can also do that, wherein he both shields and does a little bit of damage on his burst. You can either use a 2-piece Archaic Petra, 2-piece Noblesse, or 2-piece Tenacity, with HP percent for the Sands, DO damage or HP percent for the Goblet, and crit rate and crit damage for the Circlet. For the substats, aim for crit rate, crit damage, energy recharge, and HP percent. For the weapon, you can use any of the previously mentioned weapons, with the addition of the White Tassel, which also boosts his crit rate. Honestly, he makes the entire content in Genshin Impact very much trivial, and his burst animation is actually pretty cool. As you can see with the list I've shown you, none of these characters I've listed are really focused on purely DPS. Characters like Ganyu, Ayaka, Hu Tao, Ito, Xiao, or the Wanderer to name a few. This part I will actually leave to you as my viewer. You will always have a chance to test these characters through their trial runs when the banners are up. And if there's anyone in particular, not just aesthetic-wise, but also playstyle-wise, that stands out to you, then go for that.
Because at the end of the day, you are the one playing on your account, and only you can dictate how much fun you're going to have playing this game.
All the characters I've showcased were characters which would add so much utility to the teams you slot them in, making your gameplay smoother and in turn, much more fun. Was there a character you would have loved to see on this list? Let me know in the comments down below.
This is Vice. I make guides and entertaining content about Genshin Impact, so feel free to subscribe as well. Like this if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it. If you want to see another one of my videos, click right here in the middle. Thank you for watching. Peace out, fam.